Hey, Chloe.
Hello, good afternoon, Rasha. Hi,
Hi, Chloe. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, Chloe, we can wait another 5 minutes,
Of course.
and after that we can start. So, did you plan how much the length of the lecture today?
It depends a little bit, but I think about 1 hour and a half.
1 hour and a half. And do you have any exercises during the lecture or?
Yes, we have a PowerPoint presentation, and during our presentation, we also have a short exercise with some questions. And then at the end of our presentation, we also have a few questions in the form of a small quiz.
Okay. Okay, Chloe. Then we can start after 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, maybe we
Yes.
can start, or should we wait for a few minutes?
No, we can start, Chloe.
Okay,
So please introduce yourself, introduce
okay,
about the lecture, just like a small or a short summary, and after that you can start.
okay, perfect. So to start, I will already share my screen so you can see the presentation, and then I will start with the introduction.
Okay, but I will also add a comment before we start that we have also an evaluation of today's also workshop. So at the end of the workshop, I will circulate this evaluation link through the chat box, and the students have to fill the evaluation. Okay. So
Okay,
طلاب in Arabic مرحبا، مساء الخير، يعطيكم العافية جميعا. هاي هي المحاضرة الرابعة، وبكرة رح تكون المحاضرة الأخيرة إن شاء الله. إذا شفنا إنه في حاجة لمحاضرات أخرى رح نعملها، ولكن خلينا نحكي إنه هاي هي الفيرست باتش أو المجموعة الأولى من محاضرات الأونلاين. المجموعة الثانية إن شاء الله رح تكون فيس تو فيس، يعني الأوروبيين رح يجوا على الأردن وعلى تونس في مواعيد معينة رح نبعث لكم إياها، ولإعطاء برضو محاضرات ولكن فيس تو فيس ليكتشرز. بدي أطلب منكم خلال المحاضرة أو في نهاية المحاضرة برضو أنكم تعملوا تقييم لمحاضرة اليوم. نقطة أخرى إنه محاضرة اليوم رح يكون فيها exercises، فأنا بدي أطلب منكم لو سمحتوا اللي قادر إنه يفتح كاميرا please open your camera if you can. إذا مش قادر أو مش حابب عادي it's okay, it's optional not mandatory. آخر نقطة إنه please يعني خليك مركز، تفاعل مع كلوي، حاول إنك تاخذ النولج اللي أنت بدك إياها، وبنفس الوقت يعني إذا سألت سؤال مش غلط إنك تشارك. إذا مستحي أو إنه مش حابب إنك تفتح الميكروفون تحكي عادي you can put your answer, put your maybe your feedback on the chat box if you are مثلا shy to open your mic or to speak. فبليز يعني show your يعني show your motivation in front of her. حاولوا إنكم ما تكونوا بس فاتحين الميتينج وبتعملوا إشي تاني، يعني ركزوا بمحاضرة اليوم، يعني يمكن ما تتكرر، ويمكن يكون طبعا إشي مفيد وإشي ممتع بنفس الوقت. تمام. Okay, thank you all. You can start, Chloe.
okay, thank you. So I hope that my voice is clear at the moment. If not, I will change some settings, but okay, so let's start. First of all, thank you all for being here. We are very honored to give you a guest lecture today from UCLL, from Belgium. But before we start, I would like to give you a brief introduction to today's program. So in a moment, I will start with a short introduction of my colleague who's also present here. It's Dr. Evie Lemmens and myself. And after that, I'm not sure if all of you already know a little bit about Belgium, but I will also say just a few words about our country so that we can put interculturality in the spotlight today as well. And then after, I will also introduce our organization, UCLL, which stands for University Center Leuven-Limburg. And then, of course, we will move on to the main topic of today, which is dementia. It's the main topic of this lecture of today, and we will introduce how we work with dementia within the research at UCLL. But I will leave this topic to the expert in this field, and it's Professor Evie Lemmens, my colleague. And then at the end, to conclude, as I already told you at the beginning, we have prepared a very small quiz, just a few questions about the content of today, because we are very curious to see all of your scores. So here we are. This is colleague Evie Lemmens on the left side. She has a PhD in biomedical science and life science, and she is now active within UCLL as a lecturer in healthcare and in the health program. She's also active as a researcher within the Center of Expertise of Health Innovation.
Chloe, can
Yeah,
I interrupt for 1 second?
of course.
Is it possible that we don't see the presentation as
Oh,
such? Because I think you're already in the third slide,
yes.
and I mean,
Okay.
I don't see your presentation mode. I don't know if it's the
Okay.
same for everybody.
Thank you for interrupting because it would be too bad.
So you can Chloe enable editing and slideshow maybe the presentation. There is a yellow bar. Yes, you
Yes.
can input yes in yes, you can click on it. And after that you can put the slideshow button.
So are you seeing the slide with the
Still
first slide? Do
the
you
first
see it moving? No?
no.
Okay. So let me see.
We can now see the third one. The second, the third.
Yes, but if I go to the presentation mode, it goes, I cannot control it, I think.
It's okay. So you can just move from one slide to another. We can now see.
I will enlarge it a little bit. Wait, I will click away my notes. Wait. Mhm. And is it working at the moment? No. Okay. I will just do it like this.
So I think now it's good. It's clear.
Okay, sorry for this technical issue.
No problem.
Okay, so I hope you can see what I'm talking about now, because it was a little bit a strange story if you could not see the slides. Anyway, I just checked the program for today. I also mentioned it in words, so there's not a lot of information missed until now. The introduction of my colleague and myself. I am not an expert in biomedical sciences, not at all. I have a Master of Art History, and I'm now active also as a researcher in UCLL at the Center of Expertise Digital Solutions in the focus group of technology enhanced learning. So we both have a very different background, but it's very nice also for us to do projects as this, as we have to combine different expertises, which we also like a lot. So to start, let me see, as I told you, I will do this very, very short introduction of Belgium. I show you a map of the world. I'm not sure if everybody knows where Belgium is, but it's not even visible at this map. It's this very small country. So if we zoom in, you can see that it's a very small country right here in Central Europe, and it borders, among others, to France, Germany, and the Netherlands. So just a very tiny country. Despite the fact that the country is so small, it is still divided into two big parts. So we have the upper part, which is Flanders, and the lower part, Wallonia. So we speak also 3 different languages, and we have our university center in the upper part of Belgium. So our language is Dutch, the same language as in the Netherlands. I am not going to give you a history lesson about Belgium, so don't worry, but just some fun facts that I found about Belgium that I think is a fun way to introduce Belgium to you. So we produce more than 220,000 tons of chocolates each year. I think it's also a very famous product for Belgium. Another fun fact is that Robert Caillot, he was a Belgian sir, and he was one of the co-inventors of the World Wide Web. it is developed in Switzerland, but he helped, and a lot of Belgian people don't know it themselves, but it's something that we can be very proud of. In the 1970s, light beer was served during school lunch. So beer is very common in Belgium. Of course, at the moment, it's not allowed to drink beer during work or during school, but just to show where we come from. And Belgium also has a world record. It's not really something to be proud of, but we had the longest period without a government. And that is a small detail about the politics in Belgium. We really like to talk and try to have the best government as possible, but sometimes it takes a very long time to form this government. So that's enough about Belgium. Of course, everybody is welcome. I'm not a touristic guide, but we are very happy to show you around here. So just a few short words about our university center. The full name is University Colleges Leuven-Limburg. Leuven and Limburg are two locations in Belgium, two provinces, and we have some different campuses spread over Flanders, as you can see here. I also have some figures, but I will not explain too much about it, but just to give you a view, we have about 15,000 students. We have 8 campuses spread over Flanders. I see a question. I'm not seeing the chat, so it's up to you. We can do the questions meanwhile, or we can see at the end if there are questions and do them all together, maybe.
Maybe at the end of the lecture.
Okay.
Or if you have any question to be asked to the students, some students will interact as maybe chat. So okay. I can manage the chat box with you, okay. And you will maybe, and also I can manage if the students raise their hands on the participant list.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
And then you see that we have 5 faculties: health, social work, management, technology, and teacher education. These are the 5 main topics in our education programs. And then just some figures. So we have more than 1,700 staff members and 15,000 professionals that we reach every year. So we have 5 ambitions, which are very important to us. And it's also something that is very unique for UCLL. But we think it's very important to think and act globally. Also to create added value to the region and to create success during the studies, but also on the job market. And it will be very clear in some of the projects that we will talk about, that the dialogue between the education and the job market is very ongoing in our institution. It's important for us to have a very strong identity. And of course, we have the ambition to be an ICT-driven organization on education and research. Despite giving education to students, we also have these 8 centers of expertise where we do a lot of research and 8 different sections. For just an example, as you heard in the introduction, I work for the digital solutions, and my colleague Evie Lemmens works for the health innovation. But besides those 2, we also have other expertises within our organization. But altogether, we stand for one warm and open region. The last thing that I would like to mention is something that we are very proud of. It's the DNA of our organization, and we call it the Moving Minds DNA. It's the educational vision of UCLL. And the Moving Minds is actually a philosophy. So our university center wants to motivate people and set ideas into motion. That's the sentence that we use a lot. So we don't do it just in class or during the lessons, but we do also do it in a very range of projects. So students look beyond their limits and they create an open mind for the future, together with other students, but also together with the professors and together with companies. They all try together to break down the frameworks and move freely between expertises. So we are constantly looking for new opportunities to push the boundaries within the university and beyond. We have a lot of unique projects as example, and just to show you these moving minds DNA, we have a video, and after the video we will continue to the main topic of this lecture. So let me see. I think it is better to just open my link, so I will stop share it here and just go to the YouTube link that I have opened here and share it. And then I hope that you have the sound also. If I put the full screen on, can you see the video as a whole, or did it not?
Yes, but
Yes.
I think there is no voice.
No? Okay. Well, I have subtitles, so you can follow it, but...
Okay, it's okay, yes.
Of course, it's better to have also the sound. Okay, I will not take too much time. I will just share it like this. And I will also share the link so you can also see it with the sounds. And I will just talk a little bit about the video.
Okay. Perfect.
So these are some movies of our students that you can see working on their own projects. And for example, a student from technology and ICT can work together with a student from the healthcare campus, and they can brainstorm together to see if their ideas or their projects can support each other and be a stronger project together. And then they also have to think out of the box and have contact with companies to see how they can have a very broad network as a student. And we think it's very important because after they graduate, they have to find a job. And these kinds of projects really encourage them to know what their skills are as a professional, and also learn how to network and how to communicate with the professional stakeholders. And we also see that, for example, this is someone who has a project in hospitals. After she graduated, she immediately has a job within the hospital where she did her practical internship to work further with her project into this hospital. So the how to say, the results of these moving minds projects are very interesting. Also, to motivate these students to do these kinds of projects, we have an award show every year where we introduce the students, introduce the projects, and also invite many people who can maybe work with the students later on. So that was all the message of this video. Too bad that I couldn't not show it with the sound, but I hope that you by now have kind of an image of our organization and a little bit about Belgium. But now I will stop talking and give the floor to my colleague because I already took a lot of time. So I will switch back to the presentation, and then of course maybe Evie, I can already start with the book lab, or maybe I just first share it like this. Okay, so thank you all, and I leave the floor to Professor Dr. Evie Lemmens.
Thank you very much, Chloe. And welcome to all of you as well from my side. Chloe, I don't see any button anywhere where I can share myself. So
I can.
I'm afraid I'll have to ask for your assistance during
No
the
problem.
rest of the talk.
With pleasure.
Thanks. So good afternoon, everyone. As Chloe said, we both have a very different background, but we are perfect examples of where moving minds come, where the concept comes from. I have a background in biomedical sciences. I actually worked as a fundamental researcher for years. During my PhD and afterwards, I did research on the effect of febrile seizures, so fever-associated seizures, and how it affects the brains of children that experience those seizures. Done a lot of laboratory fundamental research on that. And then at one point, I felt that I needed to, well, I didn't have enough joy in my job anymore, because it felt that I was just doing research to publish papers, to get financing for more research, to publish more papers, and that I got stuck in a vicious circle, and I didn't get any, well, didn't get a good feeling out of it anymore. So already 7 years ago, in 2015, I applied for a job and started working at UCLL. Main reason for choosing for this college was that I would be involved in more practice-oriented research. And I have to mention before I start my or the rest of the talk is that the project we are going to show to you or going to explain to you is not a project that neither Chloe or myself have intensively how you say that, follow the students, but so we didn't, we weren't the researchers doing this project, but in UCLL we have the policy that everybody knows everybody. It's kind of a small world in a big world, so we know more than enough to explain the project to you. Actually, the persons that know, the people that know most of it have very recently left our school for a new job opportunity. So enough said about me and Chloe and UCLL, and let's see what our project was all about. And the project we would like to present today to you was the project that resulted in developing a harp, which is the actual musical instrument, especially for people with dementia. And as Moving Minds, it was a collaboration project between Indeed Health Innovation and Digital Solutions, two of the research centers of expertise in R&E at UCLL, but also, so researchers were involved, but also students from the program of health, being nursing students, and from the program of technology. So students of both those programs actually did most of the work. And in the process, they also got to work together with a designer and an artist from our region in Limburg in Flanders, and that is Roel van de Beek. Now, quick word about Roel van de Beek. He normally designs objects for interior and exterior. So think of furniture, little things and that to make your interior more exciting. But he had never been involved in a project related to health. And if you would like to know more about him, you can visit his website. If you Google "It's a Rule," you will find more about him. Yes, you can go on, Chloe. Thank you. But before we can go into the project, and before we can, or for you to understand very well why this project had so much impact, it's good for us to know, or at least for me to know, what your knowledge is about dementia. So we have made a few questions in a book lab, and if it would be great if you could all participate in this, so we get an idea on your knowledge.
So I opened the WOOC lab, and you can scan this QR code with your smartphone, or you can go to the link www.wooklab.com/UGPCOK. Maybe I can also share the link in the chat. And if you scan this QR code, I hope that it works, and then I can show the first question. So I just first wait a second so everybody has a chance to use it. I will do it as well to see how it works. Yep.
I already put the link in the chat box.
Okay,
Great.
thank you so much.
Welcome. So students, please click on the link, or you can maybe scan the QR code if you want, but I also add the link in the chat box. You can open it if you have a smartphone or laptop or anything. But I think Chloe or Evie,
Yes.
let us know what is the front page, or where the link take us to which page.
Yes, so it's a WOOC lab app, and if you enter the link, you are in the WOOC lab app, and then you see the question. When you hear about dementia, you think
Yes,
of.
perfect. So yes, it's correct.
And
so students click on the link and answer maybe the question, and click on the submit button. Correct?
Yes, indeed. It's very simple to use. And it's just for us to know where you are.
Where, sorry?
Where you are, because I understood from Chloe that students in this audience have more have a background in arts and not in medical science or biomedical science. So I was just.
In fact, we have different or varieties of backgrounds, because we have vocational diploma students in art therapy, professional diploma students in art therapy. Professional diploma students have already finished their bachelor degree. The vocational diploma students, some of them did not finish their secondary school. We have also master students in music therapy. So we have different backgrounds. We have also different nationalities. We have from Jordan, and we have also from Tunisia. So we have two countries. So the students here ask what to do after answering the questions. Just submit your answer, and I think Evie and Chloe with the answers will be appear on your maybe search.
Yes.
Okay, so
you can see the answers you are all submitting live now appearing on the screen. And I think you will not be able to get to the next question until Chloe presses the button to go to the next question. But if we can already see what you have submitted so far, I see a lot of memory loss. I see symptoms that affect cognition, social abilities. Yes, very good. Memory loss is what I read most, and forget everything. And I see most of you are into symptoms and into disease that cause dementia. But I cannot see anything on the screen which is not correct. So very good so far.
Perfect. They were studying before entering here.
Yes, great. Okay, you can go to the next question, Chloe. So the next few questions will be a poll. and you either have to answer by yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree.
So students, you can now answer the second question. Please جاوبوا السؤال الثاني. خلص السؤال الأول هلأ راح على نفس اللينك. جاوبوا السؤال الثاني. السؤال الثاني: Dementia is part of normal aging process. Yes or no? Just answer and submit. والإجابات راح تطلع عندكم على الشاشة عندنا، يعني كلنا راح نشوف الإجابات. فجست كليك
أستاذة لو سمحت الكود اللي نجم ندخلوا عليه للبلاتفورم.
Okay. I will resend it again.
You can see the code in the upper, you can see the website where you need to go to in the upper screen above. Yeah.
Yes. Also,
yes.
I add the link in the chat box, Mr. Mohsen.
And Chloe, you can, if you want, hide the results by pressing this graph red button in yes. So students will not follow each other's answers. I see there are still results coming in. I think we can show the results, Chloe. So I see most of you have answered no. There are a few of you that have said yes. Anyone from the yes group that would like to give a little bit more information why he or she answered yes? Somebody's.
So anybody answered yes, wanted to maybe to discuss why he or she put yes. في حد بيحب يحكي ليه حط yes, or في حد بيحب يكتب why he or she put yes answer. If you are shy, just enter to the chat box. We want interaction, students.
Yes.
Why do you put yes answer, please?
It could have also been just a guess, and it's perfectly fine.
يعني إذا حطيتوها yes بدون ما تعرفوا عادي إنه put إنه guess answer. يا جماعة مالكم يعني مشاركوا. يعني ليه حطيت yes ليه حطيت no عادي by chance مثلا yes إنه أنا ما بعرف حطيت yes or no. أوكي.
في الحقيقة هذا الواقع اللي لما أعرف الإجابة فحطيت yes.
أوكي. Huda, because aging brings about changes in the bodies and minds. Qutayba, yes, aging is one of the main causes of dementia, I think. Thank you, Qutayba. Thank you, Huda.
Yes, thank you very much. So this is the...
No, it could be time frustrating. This is from Isra. And I think, Ahmed Kail, please open your mic.
Yes. I put no because dementia is not a normal part of aging. Because it includes the loss of functioning, thinking, remembering, learning. That's why it no.
And that is indeed the correct answer. Thank you very much, all of you, for your participation. Dementia is indeed not part of a normal aging process. When we age, indeed, we lose some functioning. In general, our body is losing or is getting faults and defaults are happening in our body at different organ levels. But when you have dementia, we say that it is a pathology which for which the risk increases when you age. So the higher your age is, the more likely you will be developing or will develop a dementia, but it's not part of a normal aging process. It's an aging pathology. Okay, thank you. Next question, Chloe. So the next poll is, there is nothing you can do now to lower the risk for developing dementia later in life. By saying that, I mean it's inevitable. It's in your genes, it's programmed in your body. If you will get dementia, there's nothing you can do about it. Yes or no?
So students, put the answer on the next question. حطوا جواب السؤال الآخر. السؤال اللي هو there is nothing you can do now to lower the risk of developing dementia later in life. يعني in Arabic إنه ما في إشي ممكن إنك تعمله مشان تقلل الإصابة بهذا المرض. ف do you agree with this or not? Just put yes or no.
Very curious about the result we are going to get in a few moments. Okay, and wait for 5 more seconds. And then we will look at the results. Yeah, let's check them. Okay, so again, there's a little bit of a division between all of you. Some say yes, some say no. And again, the correct answer is no. There is, in fact, a lot of things you can do now, and that will indeed lower the risk for developing dementia later on. Indeed. I see in the chat that somebody said that we can eat healthy and eat well. Indeed, research have shown that when you eat healthy during your life, so not fast food, not processed food, not lower your amount of sugar and salt, because it's related to high blood pressure, and high blood pressure can be related to vascular accidents that then can also cause dementia problems. Indeed, healthy lifestyle in general, we already had food, and now somebody also said to be more active, play more sports. Very well done. So start now, and it's not that you will lower your risk to 0%, because there is a genetic component to developing dementia later in life. We see that because dementia, as we say, can run in a family. You can have a mother and a grandmother and a great-grandmother all developing dementia. So there is a slight genetic compound. But there is a lot you can do to lower the risk. Okay, thank you very much. Next question, Chloe. Dementia is one of the leading causes of death worldwide. Is that correct or not? So you can now vote yes or no. I think that's an easy question.
So students, please answer the next question. تقدروا تجاوبوا السؤال التالي اللي هو dementia is one of the leading causes of death worldwide. يعني الخرف هو أحد الأسباب الرئيسية للوفاة إنه worldwide. فهل أنت do you agree with this or not؟ اللي ما عنده اللينك هلا برجع ببعث له إياه. هاي اللينك مرة تانية يا قطيبة. Don't put no or yes on the chat box. Answer the question in the link. Okay, please.
Okay. See, almost everyone has answered in the WooClap. We can have a look, Chloe. Ha. So we're about half of the students agree, and the other half do not agree. And it depends on how you look at it. If you compare it to, for example, cancer or cardiovascular disease or car accidents, so car road accidents in general, dementia is not one of the top leading causes of that worldwide. However, when you look at people that have dementia, they can stay, well, it depends on the form of dementia that you have or that the person has. In general, when the dementia is of that kind that the elderly person will go and live in a nursing home, which is quite common here in Belgium, that there is a turnover of residents in nursing homes every about 3 to 5 years. But of course, people tend to stay, and that happens more and more, tend to stay at home longer, for a longer period, until for the family and the carers at home, it's not possible anymore to for the person to stay in their own home, because it becomes too dangerous for them to stay on their own. That is the point where they are where they will go and live in a nursing home. So the people that go to the nursing home tend to have already a more serious stage of the dementia. I see in the chat that it damages brain cells, indeed, and that's the other thing that it does. It's actually the damage in the brain cells that causes the dementia. I will come to that soon. And it may indeed also lead to the person dying. But it's not one of the top rank of leading causes of that worldwide. And as I see now in the chat, it's not threatening life. It's actually, it's a mistake which is often made, and it's good that you mention it, thank you very much, that people with dementia don't have a life anymore. Because when you look at them, especially when they have a serious form of dementia, they are very introvert. It's very difficult to have contact with them. And so people think, well, they are just sitting there in their chair or on the couch or lying in their bed, and this is not living. It's another way of looking at dementia, of course. Okay, so we can have a lot more of discussion about this, but let's go to the next question. And that says that, well, maybe you don't know this, but people with dementia quite often have behavioral issues. They sometimes show verbal or physical aggression towards their families, especially if somebody enters their room or their house and they don't recognize that person anymore as being their son or daughter or husband or wife. And they become aggressive because they think it's a burglar trying to get into their house. And what I have said here is that they are inherent to the disease and that you cannot prevent them from happening. What do you think? Is that correct or not?
So students, please answer the question. Behavioral problems such as verbal or physical aggression are inherent to the disease. They can't be prevented. In Arabic إنه اللي هي المشاكل السلوكية، العنف اللفظي، العنف الجسدي، هاي يعني ممكن إنها تكون متأصلة في الديمنشيا disease and they can't be prevented. يعني لا يمكن منع هذه المشاكل. ف do you agree؟ هل أنت توافق هذا الإشي or not؟ Anud, do you have any comment?
Yeah, she raised her hand.
Yeah, actually, do you want to wait to show the poll or should I just say my opinion right now?
We can wait for the results and you can.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I think you can show the results, Chloe, because I don't see anyone coming in. Okay. Let's listen to, do I pronounce it correctly? Alanut?
Yes, Al-Anud.
Alanut.
Yes, it's like that.
Yeah,
So I actually agree that we cannot prevent it because it's like something damage that has been done. So you cannot actually tell a person, as you said, she would think as her son is a burglar or something like that. You cannot convince her otherwise. That's just in her head. Only if I think maybe you can use medication to calm her down so she would not like actually attack this person. But I don't think you can prevent it.
Okay. Anybody else have a different idea?
Thank you, Anud. We have, I think, in the
Thank you.
chat box, maybe Shaden. I think yes, because there is no cure for dementia, but we can manage the symptoms.
Okay.
I think that because when we are with, don't know where we are at the time, at why we are here. This is a normal action we will do.
I don't think I understand it very well. There was a lot of background noise.
Can you repeat, Dua, your comment, please?
Behavior problem because they are lost in the place where they are and don't know what is the happen around. So this is a normal. So yes, we can't prevent this.
Okay. So we have more people that also in the poll said yes. In fact, the answer is no. There are a lot of behavioral problems that can be prevented because there are a lot of, it's not that you can all prevent those problems or you can prevent all of those problems, but a lot of behavioral problems with people suffering from dementia is, or they can be prevented because there is always a trigger for them to show this verbal or physical aggression. It's just a matter of finding out why and in which situation that they show this, and then try to avoid it next time. So there are, it's not that I would like to say that you can prevent them all, but there is a lot you can do to prevent most of the verbal or physical aggression that people are showing. For example, people with dementia have, when they get overstimulated, and that's what we will come to next in our talk, when they get overstimulated, they get frustrated. For example, when they are in the nursing home and the nurses are talking to each other quite loudly, the television is playing, maybe the radio is playing music in the background, and there is way too much sensory stimulation for them, which they can cope. And that's a trigger for them to go and shout and do like this, no, I don't want to, because they just need to be in a quiet place at that moment, just too much stimulation for them. So a lot of this can be prevented. Okay, thank you very much for all your answers and your participation. Chloe, this was my last poll, if I am correct. Yes. Okay, so let's go back to the project. So just as a summary for all of you, dementia is a syndrome and it's not a disease. A syndrome is a set of symptoms, and dementia is, for example, related to cognitive, or the people with dementia show cognitive impairment, such as memory problems. You all mentioned that in the first question. Also communication. There was also somebody said that it affects your social abilities. Indeed, it also affects your mobility. People with dementia tend to stay at home, do not meet other people as much anymore. Affects their mood and their behavior, and especially also their activities of daily life. To give an example, they because of their brain cells that are deteriorating, they also find it very hard to do fine finger movements. For example, when you put on a shirt and you need to close the buttons, that's something which becomes very difficult for people with dementia. So it's a syndrome, it's not a disease, but it is related to an underlying pathology. For example, dysfunctional brain proteins or aggregated proteins. I think most of you know Alzheimer's disease, which is a form of a disease, a pathology related to aggregated amyloid and tau proteins in the brain, which shows as symptoms of dementia. But not only that, also a hemorrhage of a blood vessel in the brain, we call it vascular dementia, can cause these symptoms. Infection, there are certain infections that are related to developing dementia, and also alcohol abuse. There is one syndrome called Korsakoff, which is a condition where people tend to or have an alcohol problem, and because of the alcohol their brain shrinks, their brain cells die, and that's why they show dementia symptoms. According to the World Health Organization, at this point, about 55 million people worldwide are living with dementia, and this number will triple by 2050. And there has been a lot of research done to show that sensory stimulation, so stimulation of the senses, being sight, hearing, smelling, is a way to interact with people with dementia. I just mentioned already that they tend to be very into themselves, be introverted. And when you design things, you have to think about using different material textures, because they tend to want to feel. When you use colors, they need to be bright and highly contrasting, preferably in the red, orange, yellow range, or salmon pink, which are all very earthy tones, very natural colors. And avoid black or other dark colors. For example, if you have a floor with tiles which are black and white, black and white, black and white, I think you all know these floor patterns. They hesitate to walk over this floor because they see the black tiles as a hole where they can fall into. So that's why you need to avoid black. Use natural light instead of artificial light. Yes, I hear somebody. Somebody wants to say something.
I think
No.
by mistake you can continue.
Yes, okay, no problem at all. And of course, music. But as I just mentioned, if you do too much, you overstimulate, you will evoke aggressive behavior. If you stimulate too little, you will not get a response by the person. So you need balance. Okay, next slide, please. There has been I hope we will have sound, Chloe, because I don't know if there is.
Let's try.
Yeah. This is a trailer of a movie documentary from the States. Fingers crossed. No. That's a pity. Anybody else knows how we can get sound into this movie? In the Zoom.
To have the link of this maybe video, can you send it to me? I can maybe try from my device.
Yes. And this is a trailer of this documentary movie called Alive Inside, which shows very well what music can do for people with dementia.
I shared the link to you, Rasha, I think. Okay.
Let me try.
No. We also have no. But you can all, if we cannot get it fixed. I think it's when we share that we need to, it's like in Teams, you normally now have to click this extra option that you also need to share the sound. But it's been a few years since I used Zoom, so I have no idea how we need to do it now.
So and so at the lower
yes,
bar.
I see it. You have to share your screen, and then at the option also share sound.
Yes, but I cannot do it myself because I have no sharing
I will
option.
do it. So
Yay.
share sounds, and then okay, found it. Let's try to be sure.
Fingers crossed.
Oh.
Yay.
What do you think of music? My heart belongs to music. I love it.
Have you ever had music just hit you in a place that immediately brought you to tears? Music has that power.
Music connects people with who they have been, who they are, and their lives. Because what happens when you get old is all the things you're familiar with and your identity are all just being peeled away.
We're going to do your medicine now. Our healthcare system imagines the human to be a very complicated machine. We have medicines that can adjust the dials. Blood pressure, oh, turn that down. Blood sugar, oh, turn that down. We haven't done anything to touch the heart and soul of a patient.
One resident that barely opened her eyes, she didn't respond. Knew her for 2 years. Once we put the iPod on her, she started shaking her feet. She started moving her head. It was amazing.
Music has more ability to activate more parts of the brain than any other stimulus.
Who am I? Huh? Who am I? I'm your daughter.
By exciting or awakening those pathways, we have a gateway to stimulate and reach somebody who otherwise is unreachable.
It can't get away from me if I'm in this place.
It takes me back to my school days. Oh, God, that's beautiful.
Does it make you happy to sing for us?
Yeah. I'm crying.
Every human being needs stimulation from the outside, from little babies to old people. American culture is wrong. There is actually life beyond adulthood. There's the opportunity to live and grow and become elders. The aging that we experience holds in it very important learnings and lessons.
There is no pill that does that.
Excuse me.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, so there's tears of joy.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to grow wings.
I was trying.
So I don't think that the movie needs more explanation. I think it could, it explains itself, showing that if you saw the Afro-American man, his name is Henry. When he doesn't have his music on, he doesn't respond very well. He doesn't recognize his daughter, but when they put the headphones on and he can listen to his favorite music, he turns to life. In fact, back to life. He you saw him moving his arms like that, rocking in his chair, humbling, singing a bit. And that is in fact what music can do for people with dementia. Okay. I will just go on. So if you have any questions or remarks, just raise your hands or put them in the chat. Now, the next movie is something that has got a lot of attention worldwide. Has any one of you seen this movie? Perhaps. Chloe is not shaking her head. She hasn't. Maybe somebody else. This has evoked a lot of responses worldwide. And I will, or Chloe will show you the movie in a few seconds, but this was a movie that was on national television here in Belgium. Also in newspapers, it was mentioned. It was also in newspaper and on television in other countries. And when they brought it to the news, it was a story about an older lady with dementia. And you will see her when she's listening to classical music, ballet music, you will see that she starts dancing. And the story was that she used to be a prima ballerina in the ballet, and that she remembered when she heard the music, the steps that that she learned as a young woman. Now I have to mention that there has been a lot of response to this because people doubt the trueness of the story. But I thought, well, maybe I would just like to show it anyway, because it shows again what music can mean to a person with dementia and how it can stimulate memories that tend to be lost to come back again. You can start, Chloe. Oh. I think you can stop, Chloe. I don't think we need to look at the entire video. I think it's clear already from this first minute, the point we are trying to make here. Okay, next slide. Somebody mentioned in the beginning of our presentation that arts, not only music, but other forms of art can be very helpful for people with dementia. This is an example of somebody who used art to express how he feels about dementia as a disease. And this is a Flemish novelist, a poet, a writer. It's called Erwin Mortier, and he has made or written a book which is also translated in English. In English, it's called Stammered Songbook, and it's a book about the way he communicated with his mother, who suffered from dementia for a long time. And related to this, or a review from this book was published a few years ago and written by Nikki Gerard. I think everybody knows Nikki Gerard as one of the two from the Nikki French novels. And when you go and read through, so you can check out the interview published in The Guardian, I just took out a few sentences from that. And it says that language is also memory, and dementia is a disease, a condition that brings a double silence, because people with dementia, they forget things, but also they cannot communicate well anymore with the people surrounding them. So the songbook is a observation of the way Erwin Mortier has experienced the disintegration in his mother. You can see his struggle with language and his attempt to communicate that which lies beyond communication. And when you go through the songbook, you will see many pages that only contain a few broken lines in white space, meaning that when you are sometimes with a person with dementia, especially when it's already in the later phase of the condition, that you tend to be able to or stay there for hours, and that nothing is said or nothing happens. So he also in the book reaches for metaphor, and each metaphor is devastating because none can capture the de-wording, de-languaging, and de-remembering. And I found the last quote very, it touched me a lot, that it said, the death of the self is the death of an entire world. So when we cannot be ourselves anymore, when we cannot express our feelings, our needs, our thoughts, it's like we do not exist anymore. It's like you just end up with a body, a person sitting there, which is not a person anymore. It's just an empty shell, a body. That's how it sometimes feels for people when they have to live with, or when they live with or take care of a person with dementia. Okay, next slide, please. Now, something we didn't do ourselves, a research project, but is a lab very close to us. And also the Luca School of Arts is part of our, what we call association. So UCLL as a university college is associated with the Catholic University of Leuven, close to Brussels. And they are they are partners of UCLL, and years ago they started a research called the Dementia Lab. It's a group, as it says, that is dedicated to designing for people with dementia and their network of carers, being formal carers, care professionals, but also their family, who most of the times also care for the person with dementia. And they do this using a participatory design. So they design for people with dementia, but involving people with dementia and their network in the design process. And the picture I show you there is from the publication. You have the reference below the picture. And these are pictures from a box full of pictures from a person with dementia, fictively called Mia. And Mia was a woman living in a nursing home. And the designer, can't remember exactly her name, I think her name was Els, designer student. had the opportunity or was designing or would be designing anything for Mia. And what they tend to do in their dementia lab is they go to nursing homes and they design for this one person, but the first thing they do is they observe the person with dementia for a very long time. Different sessions in a row, in a week, in a month. So it takes a very long time to get to know that person. And Els, as a designer, already tried a lot of things with Mia, but hardly got any reaction from her. But she did notice that Mia tended to giggle, smile a lot, blink an eye to Els when one of the younger male colleagues of Els passed by in the room. So when he was there, she started to speak. She was very interactive with her environment. So Els thought, let's do something about that, with that, to evoke a reaction from Mia and to bring her back into our world. So she had made cards, and as you can see, it has Calvin Klein commercial like pictures of men in their underwear, but also she combined those pictures with pictures of animals and colorful things. You can see the dog there with the man in his underwear standing next to that. That's a picture that Els made for Mia. And she put all of those pictures for Mia in a box. As you can see somewhere center in the bottom of the picture, the thing with the colors, it's a folder which can fold into a box that contains all of those pictures. And when family of Mia now comes to the nursing home and want to talk to Mia, they take out one of those pictures, and that suddenly Mia comes to life and they can have fun with Mia. They weren't, I have to say, that enthusiastic in the beginning, because they were like, well, this is an older lady, this is my mother. Sexuality is not something that we would like to stimulate in our mother, who is 80 plus years old. Also, the carers were a bit reluctant to use those pictures to talk to her, but when they saw how she reacted to those pictures, they immediately got convinced. And so Mia now regular basis gets new pictures to put in her folder, and Mia is a very happy person. Each time she gets frustrated or doesn't want to talk to anybody, this is the way to go to make contact with Mia. If you want to know more, I have put a link in below and names of the two people that are in charge of the dementia lab. Okay, next slide. So, and now to end with our own project, finally, you might probably think, our dementia harp. You can see here a concept or proof of concept of the dementia harp. The view we're having now is from the nursing home where the project took place, and you see two of our students that were involved in the project together with one of the persons who was living in the nursing home and who has dementia. Okay, next slide. Now, in the beginning, how did we start this project at UCLL? We actually, as I mentioned in the beginning, that's one of the reasons why I went to work for UCLL, is because we do a lot of practice-based research, where we get questions from the field, in this case, elderly care, and they come to us with a situation, a problem, something they don't know how to handle, to tackle, and they come to us asking us that question to help them. And this is the Dementia Harp is the story of the Tourmaline nursing home in Genk. What was the thing there? They have a few divisions where people with dementia live. And they saw that these, well, if you, I don't know how it is in your nursing homes, if you have many. In Belgium, we have a lot of nursing homes and they all look the same. There are long hallways. People, often they are very boring. You have white walls, you have a whitish grayish floor, you have bars against the walls like you would have in hospitals. So it gets, you get a lot of the hospital feel in a nursing home. So it's not a very attractive environment for people with dementia. And they saw in the nursing home that the people with dementia living there showed difficult behavior. They were more socially isolated, so they didn't come out of their rooms to talk to other people living there. They lost connection, not only with the people living around them in the nursing home, but also the carers, also the family who came to the nursing home to visit them. And they started wandering around the hallways without a goal, without a place to go to, without anything to do. They just started walking. So that's when Tourmaline came to us and asked, please, can you help us? Because we want to, for them, the persons, the people living here, but also for the people coming to visit them, and also for the people that work for us, the care professionals, to have fun. This needs to be a pleasant environment. They wanted to open up the doors, because what is the situation, or what was the situation then, is that the doors were all closed. So you have one division with a set of rooms where people live, a kitchen and a living room, but all the doors to enter and to go are closed for the people with dementia. They cannot get out. And Tourmaline wanted them to go out, to be able to go out. But it's very dangerous because they don't know often where they are. So they want to go home. So they tend to try and find the bus. And especially if it's a boring hallway and boring rooms, especially then, of course, they want to leave. How would you feel if you would live there? So they came to us with that question to help them. Next slide, please. And what we have done in this project, because this Dementia Harp project was part of a Interreg, being a European funded, like the Erasmus project, European funded project specifically for our region, the Regio Maas-Rijn, which is a region where Belgium, as Chloe said, Belgium, Germany, France, Luxembourg come together, which is situated around the Meuse and the Rhine, the two main rivers there. And we got funding from the European Union for the T project. And T stands for Technology and Healthcare Education. And in this project, many more other side projects besides the Dementia Harp were done. Here you can see already a much less boring hallway for people with dementia. You see the bar in below, the bar where they can grab a hold, because as I said, they have mobility problems, so they need to find balance to walk, and that's why the bar is there. But you see in the first picture a lot of textures. You see carrots, which are knitted with wool. Why? Because it gets this feeling of warmth, the wool, but also they put things inside that made sound, and the carrots look familiar to them. Most have been women, are elderly people, tend to make soup at home, used to make soup at home, so they recognize carrots. And besides that, you see these little round things. Those are actually, if I'm not mistaken, the tops of bottles, like beer bottles. They are these metal round caps, and they are connected with a cannot find the word in English.
With a
rope. Yes, thank you. It just came back with a rope, and when they move their hand beside it or along, then it makes some kind of noise and music. So to stimulate the people with dementia walking in that hallway, in that corridor. The same with the little balls of wool that you can see in the second picture, and the last picture with the colored little around things that little children use to when they learn how to calculate. It also makes sounds, it can turn, it has this specific feeling when you go over them with your hands. So this is an example of the experience trail that was set up in the nursing home. And I think it's obvious to all of you that it's about sensory stimulation, touching, seeing things, hearing things, to keep them busy and to have a pleasant environment for the people with dementia. Yes, next slide. And then for the dementia harp specifically for that project, you can see here 2 of our nursing students, the 2 outside being Demi and Rob. And in the middle, I believe his name was Bert. He was one of the technology students. And what they are holding is their prototype of the dementia harp. So how did the project go? First of all, students, both the technology students and the nursing students, in their own teams, in their own groups, started to think about what can we do? How can we help this nursing home, how to tackle this problem? And for example, the nursing students found out which type of sensory stimulation is best for people with dementia. So they did a large literature study, and that information was served as input for the technology students to start their design. And they came up with this thing, what you can see here, which is the prototype. You see this white box, there are a few buttons there, and you see the white bars sticking out of the box. Now, what it does is it plays music. So when you put it on the table, it's the tabletop model. When you put it on the table and you grab one of the bars, it makes a certain sound. It also lights up. You can use different colors of light. You can use just a simple white light, warm or cool white. So there are very many possibilities that you can do. What you see next to that with the wood is a piece that was made, a tabletop model made by students from a secondary school. So those are 16, 17 years old, based on the prototype that our students made. So the small module to put on the table. The prototype where you can see our students was tested in a nursing home, and we saw that there was a lot of enthusiasm, both from the residents, so from the elderly people, also their family, also their carers. The next step now for us is how to commercialize. Now, next slide, Chloe. I mentioned in the beginning that besides our students and our researchers, there was also a designer and an artist involved called Roel van de Beek. And Roel observed our students, went to the nursing home, observed the elderly people. And this is actually the model that was designed by Roel. It's a big one. You can see, just for illustration, the woman besides it standing. So it's a full-size model of our dementia harp, which is now the final product, which has a screen and bars that light up. In the screen, or on the screen, you can see now an example of a bird. And when you touch one of the bars, you get a specific screen, so a specific bird. But you can also hear the sound of the bird singing. Or you can make it as such, or adjust the setup that there is a certain that music is playing. So not birds singing, but music that a person with dementia tends to love. So it's about seeing, it's about hearing, and it's also about feeling, touching the bars, touching the wood. And that little space there where you see where there is wood and no bars is actually a place where you can sit as a family member or a carer with a person living in the nursing home. Now it's a question of how to produce this, because it's very big. The production costs are very high, but we will get there. One day it will be standing in the nursing home, as you can see the model here, the design. Okay, next slide. We are now presenting this project here to you, but this project has received a lot of attention all the way through Flanders. The students won an award, a SERA award, and SERA is one of the largest corporations in Belgium. It's also part of one of the largest banks in Belgium. There were lots of articles in regional and national newspapers, as you can see in the left below, on Facebook, a lot of things. And next slide, please. The project actually made it to national television. So this is a program on national television called Is There a Doctor in the Room? Where researchers present one of their the things they have invented. And here you can see our prototype standing there with the panel. And these are all well-known Flemish people that are sitting there. The presenter is a comedian, Philippe Heubels. He's the bald guy in the middle there, holding the paper. And what the panel needs to do is guess what is in front of them. And we got the chance to go there with our dementia harp. So everybody in Belgium, I think it was a lot of people saw this, watched this this program on TV. So a lot of people in Belgium now know the dementia harp. Yeah, next slide. So what's next now? We are now thinking about developing a similar thing as the dementia harp, but for other targets group. Think of children in kindergarten or primary school, but especially also children with special needs, for example, autism. There's a lot of things that people with autism or one of the autism spectrum disorders have in common with people with dementia. That is that they tend to be more introvert and can be, or that you can use sensory stimulation, but also that they tend to get over agitated quite easily. So the two have a lot in common. Okay. And that was actually all we would like to tell you. And we have a few questions now to finish, Chloe, to see how, if you paid well attention to to all we have said. So you can go back to the, I think if you didn't close it, it will still be open on your smartphone or your computer, and we can do the last questions we had prepared for you. Oh yeah, we can skip that question. I think we can do that. Yes. Yeah, I was just skipping a few because there is a lot of, yeah, we're running out of time otherwise, so you can skip that one.
Okay, so you can go to the same link as before, or you can see it here in the screen. So it's booklab.com/UGPCOK. And then there will appear this question with the image. I'm not sure, Evie, if they know about the project Venster.
I think you can skip this one, Chloe.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
you can go to your, yeah.
Yes, of course. So we have a few questions to see if you understood what we were talking about, and also if there is something that you learned from this. Of course, there is no answer that is not correct. It's also for us very nice to see what you would answer. But this is a multiple question, multiple answer question. So you can just see it on your cell phone. You do not have to answer in the chat, but straight in the WOOC lab. And then of course also submit at the bottom of your smartphone screen. So we can see the results later on.
Okay, students, you can answer the last question. Why is it important for people with dementia to stimulate their senses? مرضى الدمنشيا ليه برأيكم هم لازم يحفزوا الحواس أو يشتغلوا على حواسهم الأخرى؟ في عنا 3 answers ولا واحد غلط، بس إنه in your point of view answer the questions so they can have more fun. It triggers their short-term memory or it allows them to have more clear moments. جاوبوا اللينك، طلاب اللينك هاي موجود على الشات بوكس. اوكي
Okay, for those who do not want to answer, also no problem at all. I see already 22 people have answered, so we will not take too much time in between of all the questions. So I will show the results already. Okay, Evie, I'm not sure if you want me to discuss the answers or if you can have a word about it. You're muted, but I see that you're knocking.
I'm losing my voice again.
Okay,
so
no
you
problem.
just go.
No problem.
I
So,
think here Al-Anud have maybe feedback on her answer or her opinion if you want to say something. Yes.
Of course.
Okay, so first of all, I think I've voted for the second one, that it triggers short-term memory. Like you said, that it helps a person remember what they were about. And I think also the second important one that I was confused with was the third one as well, because when they remember or they get out the bad energy of being confused or stuff like that, they have more clear thoughts that, okay, maybe I should think about this more or stuff like that.
Okay, thank you for sharing it. I think it's a very nice answer. In this presentation, we learned that sensory stimulation is very important for people with dementia, because while you are triggering their senses, it allows them to have more clear moments. So the third one was correct. But of course, to have more fun is not incorrect, because it's also a way of triggering things, and it triggers their short-term memory. I don't think in a way you can also see it as correct, but the more important answer was the third one, that it allows them to have more clear moments. And then you can also see some examples that we had in the presentation. For example, the ballerina woman, because of the music, she was triggered and it allowed her to have more clear moment as she remembered the steps from her youth. And that's also the philosophy behind the dementia harp, to create the clear moments. Okay, so we go to the next question. You can all stay in the same app. And this is a question where you can point at category. The question is indicate which sensors are stimulated with the Dementia Harp. The Dementia Harp is the project that we introduced at the end of our presentation, the big furniture with sticks and a lot of possibilities. And it also stimulated some senses. Well, also here I will hide the results, and you can just click on the image that you think is correct. There are multiple answers possible, and there are also, this is a tip, multiple answers correct. So you can choose the sense that you think are stimulated with the Dementia Harp.
اوكي طلاب جابوا آخر سؤال اللي هو which senses، شو الحواس اللي انت او اللي هم شرحوا عن البروجكت تبعهم Dementia Harp، شو هي الحواس التي يتم تحفيزها او شو هي الحواس اللي بتتحفز when they may work on the Dementia Harp. كليك بس اضغط على الصورة اللي انت برأيك انه هاي هي الحاسة التي يتم تحفيزها.
Okay, so let's have a look. Wow, it's very nice to see. So, oh, and there are still some answers popping up. Of course, it's allowed. So in the presentation, we learned that stimulating all the senses can be very important for people with dementia to trigger them in a way. And there are a lot of projects trying to have all these senses differently, but in the Dementia Harp, it is very focused on seeing things, touching things, and hearing things. So the combination of these three senses are very focused on the project. Maybe there's a future in also adding taste and smell to the project, but at this moment it's by seeing, because we integrated a screen where they can see images of things that are very familiar for them. Touching is by touching the bar, and it's also very important that you have this tactile trigger that they can have a reaction on the movements that they make by touching the different elements of the harp. And hearing, of course, because there also is a possibility to play the music, or to, in the first example, to hear the birds singing. So these three senses are included in the Dementia Harp. Thank you. I see a lot of dots on the screen. It's very nice to see this response of you. So let's go to the next question. Also here I will hide the results. So the Dementia Harp project is based, oh, there is a typo, is based on a request from a residential care center. It was the nursing center that Evie talked about. They didn't just ask a random question, but they were looking for a solution for residents, for people who live there, who showed the following behavior as a result of their dementia. So I'm not sure if you can remember the slide, but there were some different things that people with dementia used to do in the nursing center, where they want to find a solution for. And that's why that they contacted UCLL to create this project. Also here, there are multiple options correct. So you can choose and send your answer and then choose other options if you think it is needed. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, let's see. So a lot of you voted for social isolation, lack of connection, depression, difficult behavior in general, mood swings. So as I said, there are no wrong answers, but in this question, I will refer to the question of the nursing home, and they were looking for a specific solution to the people who were, and I will show the correct answers, were in social isolation. They were also looking for something to find connection with the people, because they could not always find connection, and they were looking for an instrument to have this connection again with these people suffering from dementia. People who were wandering, who were just walking in the hallways with no purpose, and the difficult behavior in general. These were the specific things that the nursing home wanted to work with in this project. So thank you for answering. And then I go to the next one. So the Dementia HARP is an example of a cooperation between different disciplines, but it is also an example of a cooperation between different actors. So we talked about the moving mind DNA of our organization and how we try to I cannot find the word in English, how to use different actors in our projects, and how to involve different actors. This Dementia Harp is as an example of one of these projects. So our question is, who do you think, or how, if you remember it from our presentation, it's even better, but who did we involved in this project? Also here, there are multiple actors involved and also multiple answers correct. So you can choose more than one answer. Okay, I will not wait too long. It's not that I don't have any patience, but it's that we can just don't take too much time from you. And of course, if you still want to answer, feel free to answer, even if the results are already shown. Okay, that's nice that a lot of you answered many actors. Some are very evident. For example, the students, because they really had a very active role in the project. But maybe it's a surprise, maybe not. But if I show the correct answer, you can see that all of these answers are correct. So we try to involve companies, because the nursing home was the company that started with the question, but also we involved companies in developing the Dementia Harp. Students, of course, because they are motivated to help in projects as these, as well as the technology students, as the students in healthcare. Teachers, because they try to accompany the students and guide the students during this project. The researchers, because they have this very they have all the expertise and the background to help this to help in this project. And then the product developers, for example, the designer who has an artistic background and is more it's maybe a kind of a strange project, because he was not he does not have yet a background in art, but he is a designer, and it gives a very different perspective to a project like this, to also involve people who are very creative and artistic to develop the furniture or the eventual results. And also now that we have to try to translate the very big furniture into a smaller version to make it more usable in with people at home or in different organizations. It's also very useful to involve product developers, because they're used to think outside of the box and to find answers on a very creative way. So by involving all of these actors, it's a very interesting project at the moment. So thank you for answering. And then we continue to the next question. The development of this dementia harp is applied to a specific target audience, those with dementia. However, at the end of the presentation, Evie also taught us that it also has potential to be adapted to other target groups, and there is still a lot of possibilities to start from the same principle or the same idea, but to adapt it to other target groups. So our question is, what do you think that or to which target groups you think this tool of the dementia harp can be adapted to? Also here you have more possibilities. Maybe it's a little bit a difficult question. I can understand if you hesitate to answer, because there are a lot of possibilities. It's nice to see that the majority indicated the first answer, people with autism spectrum disorders. That is indeed correct, but not to disappoint the ones who chose the second one. It's also for caregivers, but the people with autism spectrum disorders is something that we are trying to develop at the moment, more specifically for children. But of course, these are some random target groups, but actually this tool is based on a lot of research that can also be adapted to even more than these target groups. So there is a lot of potential. So I don't want to disappoint anybody who answered something else in this question, because I can follow all of your results. So thank you for sharing. And then this is almost the last question. And we are very happy for your interaction. Also for all of your answers and reactions. And as the no problem. And also for us too, because we were talking a lot, and we also really appreciate all the inputs from you. So you can fill in the words that you can associate with this guest lecture. It can be anything, it can be a feeling, or it can be a word, or a project, or something that you will remind from this lecture.
And you can be very honest.
Yes, please, of course.
Louis and Evie, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thanks for this very impressive lecture. I would like to ask the students if you have feedback, comment, question. We have maybe 2 minutes to receive your feedback or comments, please. الطلاب إذا عندكم أي فيدباك، عندكم سؤال، عندكم أي تعليق، معنا دقيقتين. just raise your hand, or you can fill, just like Chloe put in the question, fill in one word about the lecture.
Excuse me.
Yes, of course.
I do have one question. At the beginning, we were talking about things that we could do that might prevent dementia or help prevent it at least. You guys were talking about exercise, body exercise, but what about mind exercises?
Definitely, yes. We should not forget that. Yes.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I see my dad doing these weird puzzles all the time, like math and just complicated things. And he's like, he mentioned something about, helping him with this in the future, perhaps help prevent it. So I was wondering if that's true.
Yes, it definitely will have impact on his risk or her risk to develop dementia. As I said, if you are prone to be developing dementia for other reasons, there are many reasons why people develop dementia. It will not mean the risk is zero. It will not mean you can prevent it at all from happening, but there are projects that show, studies that show when you get mentally, stay mentally active, that you lower your risk indeed. Yes, very good point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to show the last question, and then of course there are also possibilities to ask questions, but we also have this poll to check your overall evaluation for us. We used some emoticons to make it a little bit different, and also here you can be very, very honest, because it's also important for us to see what your feeling is. And if there is someone who still has a question, feel free to share some words with us.
So you can put your evaluation on this lecture. Okay, very good.
Ooh, we were not boring, Chloe. Could be. If it's a topic you don't particularly or are not particularly interested in, then I can assume it was boring to you, but very happy to see these results.
No, I don't think it was boring at all, because like it is really helpful information. Like for a fact that you said that we can prevent it. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you for an amazing lecture.
Thank you. You're welcome.
For this meeting.
Perfect. I think Chloe and Evie, we're done.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this interactive lecture. I think students also should evaluate this lecture in another link. I will now share it with all students. Please evaluate this lecture. And I hope that you got the good knowledge from this lecture. Thank you again, Chloe. Thank you, Evie, for your time. And maybe see you maybe in another lecture, or maybe Chloe can see you face to face. Thank you so much. And شكرا طلاب، شكرا كثير لوقتكم، شكرا للي تفاعلوا وللي ما تفاعلوا. شكرا لكم. الله يعطيكم العافية. See you tomorrow because we have tomorrow another lecture at 1 p.m. Amman time. The last lecture. It's about neuroscience also. See you tomorrow إن شاء الله. والله يعطيكم العافية. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Have a nice evening. Bye.